Seoul, what's going on? South Korea's entertainment world is in shock. Fans around the world were stunned, confused, even crying and panicking at the same time after the absurd news came to the surface. Jungkook, the golden magne of BTS, the idol who has captivated millions of hearts, is now predicted to be officially inaugurated in a ceremony full of honor. Designated as what? Why him? What's the point of all this? The world was completely unprepared for this sudden surprise. This issue is not just a vague whisper among the fanbase or wild theories from netizens, but information that is now starting to be highlighted by major media in Korea and even internationally. Jungkook, who has been known as a singer, dancer, producer, and global icon, is said to occupy honorary positions usually held only by public figures at the political, military, or cultural levels of the country. Not a role in a play, not even an ordinary honorary degree from a university. It's bigger, more monumental, and more jarring. Inducted as South Korea's National Cultural Ambassador on a permanent basis by the Ministry of Culture, Sports, and Tourism. Yeah, you didn't read that wrong. Appointed. Officially. Permanent. This is not a fictional story, not a fabrication for rating. This is a true story filled with political pressure, economic influence, and of course, a touch of deep emotion from a young man named Jungkook. The inauguration issue initially arose from internal leaks in a closed-door meeting between top ministry officials and several key figures in the Korean entertainment industry. One anonymous source who attended the meeting revealed that Jungkook's name was discussed thoughtfully and even referred to as a living symbol of the modern Korean wave. No kidding. This source also claims that this inauguration could change the face of Korean cultural diplomacy globally. This was not merely a symbolic post, but an official state assignment that would stick with Jungkook for the rest of his life. Of course, this news immediately exploded. It didn't take long. Social media was filled with hashtags like #JungkookDilantic, #GoldenMagnaAmbassador, and #KoreaForJungkook. Army around the world mixed emotions, pride, shock, confusion. Some even refer to these as signs that the world is changing. One of the biggest fanbase accounts wrote, "Jungkook doesn't just belong to Korea, he belongs to the world." But seeing the Korean government finally acknowledge its contribution, we couldn't hold back the tears. However, not all parties welcomed this news with open arms. Some political and cultural critics have questioned the government's move as too populist. Is this a desperate form because K-pop is the only thing that's really selling out of Korea right now? Satire of a renowned cultural columnist. Others see this move as a form of exploitation of Jungkook's popularity for the benefit of the state. Jungkook is not even out of the army, and now you want to ensnare him in a lifetime commitment, said a netizen who felt the government was not sensitive to the privacy and freedom of artists. But behind all this commotion, there is one thing that makes this news even more emotional. Jungkook himself has not yet given an official response. The silence of Jungkook, who is usually quite active on HYBE's social platforms, has sparked much speculation. Is he considering the offer? Or did he just refuse? Or does he not know it himself? Or is his silence a sign that he is preparing? Some fans who were particularly sensitive to Jungkook's behavior began to connect previously overlooked dots. In an old interview in 2020, Jungkook once said that he wanted to be something more than just a singer. Many at the time thought he had a dream of becoming a big producer or even CEO. But now, that remark feels like a clue buried for years. What does this mean? Did he know he was destined for something bigger? In addition to fueling the controversy, a viral photo circulating since yesterday showed Jungkook in a government building that is strongly suspected to be the Ministry of Culture. He appeared to be wearing an official suit and was accompanied by several HYBE staff. Although there was no official statement from the agency, the photo immediately provoked thousands of comments. "This is no ordinary visit," wrote one fan. "This is a clean rehearsal before the inauguration." Another news that is heating up the atmosphere is that the South Korean president himself is said to have given the green light personally. In fact, some rumors say that this inauguration will be part of a long-term strategic project to strengthen Korea's soft power, holding Jungkook as its heart. "It's not just a cultural ambassador," said one senior official, speaking on condition of anonymity, "but the heart of Korean diplomacy to the world." If true, This is an unexpected and very radical step. Never in the history of South Korea has a K-pop idol been given an official role for life by the state. Usually such a title is temporary or ceremonial. But this is the end of the state contract. His responsibility is not only to perform and represent, but also to formulate a cultural vision of the nation's future. How could one man, even though he was Jungkook, carry such a heavy burden? And all eyes are now on one moment, Inauguration Day. Rumor has it that day will fall in less than 2 months. A large stage has begun to be built in the courtyard of Gyeongbokgung Palace, which is usually only used for state events and national celebrations. If true, then this inauguration will be the first state event in history led by a pop artist. This is no joke. This is a new chapter in Korean history, in the midst of all the pressure. There is also an emotional side that makes this news even more complex. Some parents of the younger generation of Korea express their heart because their children are now inspired to know more about their own culture thanks to Jungkook. My son used to only know games and anime. Now he wants to learn Panzori and the history of the Joseon dynasty. All because of Jungkook, said a housewife interviewed by a local TV station. However, not a few are worried about Jungkook's mental health. The tremendous pressure of being a global idol is already considerable. Now, it will bear the burden as the face of national culture? What will happen if he gets tired? Who will protect him? HYB itself has not yet given an official statement. They released only one short sentence through their spokesperson. We are actively discussing Jungkook's possible contribution to the country. This sentence does not refute, but also does not confirm. Only one thing is certain. The world is watching history being written before them, and Jungkook's name is at its very top. Finally, if indeed this inauguration really happened, then this is the moment where a young boy from Busan, who used to only want to sing and dance, became a living symbol of the hope of one nation. An inauguration that was not just a ceremony, but a turning point. An emotional and monumental narrative of how one voice can shake the world and change the face of a country. But the question still burns, haunts, and makes everyone's heart beat. Is Jungkook ready to accept his new destiny as a living symbol of South Korea? Or will this be the point at which he loses his identity as a free artist? And more importantly, will the world be ready to welcome Jungkook, not just as an artist, but as an icon of global statehood? Get ready, because this is not just news. It's history. And Jungkook was standing in the front line, shaking things up. The shock wave has not subsided. Even as time goes by, it gets crazier. International media from Japan, America, and France have now begun to insert the name Jungkook in Korean cultural diplomacy news reports. CNN even called him the next cultural power icon from East Asia.